minutes before, I'm kind of like a little anxious because, it's natural to have a small amount of fear, because a small amount of fear, in a sense, compels us to do a better job. That's what fear does for us in a way. But I think the biggest power of fear, as Phyllis mentioned earlier, is that idea of no. So when people say, how can I do this business being so shy or fearful of talking in front of groups, what the biggest fear we have, or the biggest issue of shyness, is what people think of us. How will people perceive us? And when Phyllis said earlier, fear means false evidence appealing real. Ask yourself this: could it be that the false evidence might be in your own head? That maybe you're thinking that somebody sees me a certain way, and what you're actually thinking is that you are really harder on yourself than how others are, because more people are actually more forgiving. And here's a little bit of insight that will probably make you less fearful of fear and of talking in front of groups. There are more shy people in the world than you think. And in a recent study, 50% admitted to being shy, and in another study, 40% said they used to be shy. Right? So, I bet you all of the people listening on the cell phone conference were shy at one point, or are still a little bit shy, but they have overcome that. Because why? You can still be shy and achieve your goals, right? Once shy is not forever shy. And here's a really cool quote from James Stephens, the Irish novelist. He said, "Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will." If we have this fear of talking in front of a group, if you ask yourself, I would really like to know how they respond to what I have to say in sharing the product. If you're really curious about what other people will think about the product, that might be a way of kind of convincing yourself to get over that fear. Here's another one. There are so many famous shy people, it's not even funny. One of them is like Julia Roberts. Cher was very shy as a child. Brad Pitt was known to be shy. And here's one of the most famous shy people is Sally Field. In every interview she's done, she's always talked about how shy she was. And when she won her second Oscar in 1985, I'm going to quote to you her famous acceptance speech. And she said, "I haven't had an orthodox career, and I've wanted more than anything to have your respect. The first time, I didn't feel it. But this time, I feel it. And I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me." Okay, end quote. Why did I say that right now? And it's because the basis of fear is the fear of being accepted. And if we kind of let a little bit of that go, we let a lot of that anxiety go from us, and it helps us develop the courage to get out there and see the people and do what we can for our business, for us, and for our families. So in ending my little bit here, I just want to give you 10 tips to overcome your fear of selling. 1, know the source of your fear. Is it a fear of being liked, a fear of being pushy, as Phyllis said earlier, the fear of hearing no? Know where that fear is coming from. Take action to address the source. 3, find enthusiasm for what you offer, right? A love for the product is surely one way, that is a way that will compel you to share the product. Shift your perspective. You might shift your perspective from selling to sharing, right? Start small. If you're really that nervous about talking in front of a big group, talk in front of like 3 friends. Keep track of your success. I think this is really important. You might want to keep a success journal so you can jot down what it is you did after you've had a successful meeting or a successful encounter with someone who's interested in the business. Have fun with it. Mary Black is always holding rallies and other fun ways to energize her team. So I always think of her when I think of fun and this is business. Stay focused on your desired outcome. 9, detach yourself from how the outcome shows up. Meaning, don't fret too much about, they're going to say no, I'm going to forget. Forget about it. Just enjoy the experience, right? And 10, practice makes perfect. Keep practicing what you want to say. You might want to work on that 30-second commercial that we talked about in past conferences. And hopefully these tips will help you in overcoming your fear of talking in front of groups. Phyllis.
Okay, thank you, Corey. All right, let's sum this up. Forget about yourself completely. We should focus on the needs of others instead of worrying about what they might be thinking about us. When you have a concern, you have to determine whether the concern is because of fear of yours or lack of desire. Fears can be met head-on and conquered because you have the desire to succeed. Lack of desire raises a different problem, whether or not you really want to be successful and do what it takes to succeed. Test yourself. What keeps you from talking about your business to the person next to you while you're both waiting in the grocery line? You think, no, what is she going to think? How about this one? Why didn't you tell the person sitting next to you at the PTA meeting how much you love your business and how would you like to join you? Did you ever do that? Why didn't you ask the receptionist in your doctor's office if you could leave promotional materials in the office? Did you think about asking the receptionist to join your business? Maybe not. Maybe you see people, but you're not talking to them. You got to figure out why. Why are you afraid to make that telephone call that you know might lead to a recruit or a sale? Have you told, because you're afraid of that no in a word, have you told all your neighbors that they too can make money doing what you can do and that you can supply a product to them that they need? How many of you talk to all your neighbors? A lot of them don't even know what you do. Have you been afraid to ask your best friend from school to join you because you're afraid she'll say no? Members of your family if they'd be interested in selling and recruiting. These are just some of the things. They're just some questions that we all need to consider. I hope they will aid you in overcoming some of your fears and concerns. Now, here's the test. Grab a piece of paper and list out your fears that you can confront them as we have talked to you and find out what your fears are. Because remember, fear is a dark room where negatives develop. So you don't have to have those fears. So have a great week. Hope it's highly successful. And Corey, thank you for your input. And we look forward to having a great February. It's all up to you. Say I can. Yes, you can. Bye-bye.